You have arrived at day 6. Congratulations. My name is Alex Wiseman, and you are on day 6 of Organizational Leadership and Change Management. This is actually a really kind of a key day. This is a big day because we're making a transition from sort of thinking about everything to planning what we're going to do, or talking about what we're going to do as a result of that plan. So in many ways, day 6 is kind of the culmination or the turning point for everything you've been putting together up to this point. No pressure, but it's kind of a big day. So a couple things we're going to do. One is obviously we're talking about preparing for change today because this is the change moment. And so a couple of key objectives. We want to understand core approaches to designing educational change within organizations. And as a result, we're going to talk about design thinking or design-based thinking. It's really a process and a phenomenon that is behind a lot of the stuff that Mintrop is talking about in his book, Design-Based School Improvement. And it's certainly part of the whole design-based organizational change movement. We're going to identify ways to use data to inform or drive change in educational organizations. So data is really important to the whole design thinking and design-based change process. And so thinking about process is going to be important, and how data is part of that. And we're going to prepare for the uncertainty of implementing educational change in real-world organizations and context, because the fact of the matter is that your school or your school district or your educational organization is not a laboratory. In other words, you can't control all of the different factors that go into any particular process or event or situation or interaction or relationships or whatever. So we've got some great stuff to discuss today. You've got 69 pages of reading and 33 minutes of watching, so a little heavy on the videos today, but I think that'll help you work through some of the big ideas. One is, in the first module, make sure that you're thinking about designing design-based change, and to do that we're going to read Mintrop's Chapter 9 on designing interventions, and I think that's super important, and it's a really helpful chapter. But one of the things I'm kind of excited about you taking a look at is this 4-minute video on design thinking. And when you go to this video, and here I'm looking at YouTube, sorry, this is what it looks like at the end of the video when it shows all of the...
For a particular group of people.
Oop, nope, wrong.
This fix is an online
See, this is what happens when you don't know.
Design thinking is a 5-step...
There we go. Thank you for putting up with my technology problems. If you look at the information below here on this design thinking process video, you will see that there are some links to Stanford University resources. I would take a look at these because it will give you a lot of good information. It also has all the steps that are discussed in the video listed right here in the bucket, or the thing that talks about it, whatever that is technically called. So this is actually a video that I debated having you watch like in day 2, and really it might have been helpful then, but I think it'll be really helpful now. Then there's another way of thinking about organizational design that comes from, well, this is a video by Kate Kessler, who's a consultant, but talks about the STAR method and thinking about how you can think about organizational design using this. It's an alternative approach, and I think it's interesting to think about because it overlaps in a lot of ways, but it also is unique. So when you're thinking about how do you design design-based change, it's good to have all of the options available. In Module 2, you'll look at creating an evidence-based design. There are 3 chapters from Rick Mintrop's book that I'd like for you to read, and then I'd like for you to watch 2 more videos. These are much shorter. One is about a learning organization, so it's about a feedback loop and how organizations themselves can be learning about different ways that they could operate or conduct business or whatever they're doing. And then there's also a short video on action research. Action research is a term that's come up in the readings. It probably has come up in our class discussions at some point. It's a really important part of what we do in terms of this design-based school improvement or school change. It's something that teachers have been doing for much longer than perhaps administrators or organizational leaders have. And I think this video is a little more teacher focused than it is organizations focused, but it's good to have this refresher and understand action research because it fits into the data part of our discussion today. So Module 6.3 on integrating design in the real world is really about, and here's action research, is really about data. How do you use data to get things done? Because that's a big component of this design-based approach. So I'm asking you to look at a couple of videos. One by this guy who's a software engineer about data-driven education. I think he has some really good ideas about how important data is and how data can be used and how to see it as more than just sort of boring facts, but really make it meaningful and applicable. Then there is a design thinking example from an actual classroom. Again, this isn't at the organizational level, it's a little more at the classroom level. But classrooms are part of organizations and themselves can be organizations. So if you think about it in that way, it's helpful on multiple levels for the educator. And then we're going to move into the application activities. Of course, there's the online quiz as usual. I'd also like for you to draft 2 sections of your final project. One is understanding the problem subsection, and the other is understanding the change process. If you look at Untitled Chapter 7 and Chapter 8, you will see examples of what those look like. As always, we'll be looking at a case study. This is one of the intense ones again. Long Beach Unified School District, change that leads to improvement. It's obviously looking at a 10-year time period. Gosh, a long time ago now. But it's got a lot of good organizational information for us and will help us think about how we can, going back up to the theme, prepare for change. And so that's the theme that we want to make sure we're considering as part of the case study itself. Finally, if you have any questions, please bring them to class and ask them. But post your comments, share reflections about everything we did today in the leave a reply section right here. It's going to be quite a day. This is a big moment, like I said before, where you're really turning the corner. So get ready and see you in class.